Hello and welcome to the Hemm Productions Podcast. It's New Release Thursday with two Oscar favourites opening in theatres. We have Train Dreams having a limited run before releasing on Netflix, and Die My Love, the new Lynn Ramsey film starring Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. Both these films have gotten very good reviews. Really looking forward to catching up on them, but it is Thursday morning and I have not left the house yet. So instead, I will catch you up on two recent horror films I watched on Halloween, both Australian. One of them was at least filmed in Australia. I'm not sure how Australian it actually is. And the other film I saw was a comedy starring Seth Rogen, Aziz Ansari, and Keanu Reeves, Good Fortune. So I give my verdict on that. We also have a couple of big news stories, including a big AI talking point, which will have me being very passionate about AI again, in a clear direction. So now sit back, relax, let my silky voice transport you to my movie mind palace. It's time for some news. And it's also time for the first sip of coffee this recording. Everyone take a good sip of coffee. No water, haven't touched the stuff. Anyway, this is a quick shout out to all the fans of classic Hong Kong cinema with our first news story. One of my favourite filmmakers, director Wong Kar-wai, known for In the Mood for Love and one of my favourite films, The Chungking Express, has a new TV series. This was his first TV series and his first work since 2013 when he released the film The Grand Master. So this series has been available in China for about over a year now. I remember it coming out and was waiting for news for an English release, and now we finally have it. So it's coming to the Criterion channel, which I have. And quick tip for all the cinephiles out there in Australia, you can still subscribe to Criterion channel if you just VPN your way through, and then it works when you're not using a VPN. So I'm going to be using the Criterion channel to binge this, I believe, 30 episode series. So a great big load of Wong Kar-wai content coming to Criterion channel. Next up, we have some more exciting news. The Mummy franchise may be getting a second crack, or third crack. They've done a lot of crap with this franchise. I can't really keep up. Got the Scorpion King spin-off, the Tom Cruise movie, but a new Mummy movie starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, the original actors of those classic, well, not classic 3 films, I'll say classic 1 film, and a bunch of other movies. Point is, Radio Silence is developing it. If you don't know Radio Silence, that's a directing team behind the latest Scream movies, to be clear, which are modestly successful reboots. I thought the latest one was terrible, but they also made the horror flick Ready or Not in 2019. So they are a very talented directing duo. I think this is good news for the franchise that really had nowhere to go, so I'm glad we'll be getting Brendan Fraser in a big action film again. That original Mummy movie rips so hard, and Brendan and Rachel are half the reason why it does. I'll keep you updated on this story as we hear more. No news of release date or time window at the moment. Finally, I have the story of the week, a very peculiar story about one of my favourite directors and generative AI. Now, you may be aware of my appreciation of the Mad Max movies. You may also be aware of my disdain for generative AI and AI in general, which is a trend currently. It's a big buzzword. It's everywhere. You may think it's here to stay, but let me just remind you of Web3 and NFTs. They were also here to stay, so I'm not so convinced about that. However, George Miller, director of the Mad Max movies, may be a little more convinced than me. The Omni International Film Festival took place in Sydney, with the headline judge being Mad Max creator and visionary director George Miller. The twist is it's an AI film festival. Probably not the world's first, but definitely Australia's first, and with George Miller at the helm, it's quite a big deal. So I've read a couple articles about this, including a Guardian piece last month with George Miller's opinions on AI. I read the Deadline article just last night reporting on this AI film festival that I was not aware of because nobody in my circle cares about it. And what I've gathered reading is that George is very open-minded regarding AI. He sees it as a creative revolution, comparing it to the invention of oil paint and photography. He's quoted here saying AI can make screen storytelling available to anyone who has a calling to it. Obviously, Miller isn't looking to replace filmmaking. He finds it nifty, is sort of what I'm gathering. He sees it as an alternative that people who don't have these delicate filmmaking skills, don't have the talent, can still bring something to the world. They can still envision something. Now, I've played around with these AIs, and they do have some merit as a powerful idea generation tool, but they do not replace the art. They do not create emotionally resonant art, as Miller has described he wants to see. He wants to see this medium be used more for emotional, artistic endeavors rather than novelties. But I really disagree with his sentiment about AI making storytelling available, screen storytelling available to anyone who has a calling. I agree it can make screen storytelling more accessible, but that doesn't lead to good art or emotionally resonant art. It's soulless. What makes captivating cinema, especially the Mad Max movies, is knowing everything you're watching on screen was not only contributed by humans, but some of what you're watching is actually happening. You feel like you can watch a human's gonna die. A real person will die when you're watching Mad Max Fury Road. You witness it, and there's nothing like that. You appreciate both the vision of George Miller as director, as well as every other talented artist, actor, contributor to the overall production. That's what makes a movie. There's more than just one name on those credits, and that's what makes cinema unique and captivating. AI cinema doesn't have this. So, I watched the winning film of the festival, which was awarded by Miller, called The Cinema That Never Was, which you can watch on YouTube. And to be honest, the movie made me feel really sick. The entire concept of the film is slightly admirable, I guess. It's the idea of movies that never existed are like dreams. And then it comes into the point of maybe these films that AI make little pictures of here and there are like a flicker of a film that never existed. But guess what? The video essay portion of this video, the narration, was generated by GPT-4, as well as every image, even the visually compelling ones. It makes everything feel hollow. When I see an AI-generated human on screen, none of that connects to my soul. Hate to be artsy-fartsy. Cinema That Never Was is the exact right way to describe these little flashes in this film. It's not cinema. It's not art. And I'm not crediting the creator because I don't have to. This video has no copyright. AI art cannot be copyrighted because nobody made it. Anyhow, suppose this is the peak of where AI is currently in the film world. In that case, we really don't have anything to worry about. And George, I'm glad you're appreciating a novelty, but comparing AI to photography or oil painting as a creative revolution is just a false narrative. Photography allowed mankind to capture what's in front of us. Oil painting allowed people to express themselves differently than other paints, other materials, other pencils. AI doesn't have anything to do with mankind's connection to the soul or to art. Typing text prompts and having a vision in your head isn't what make art appealing. A human sitting down and bringing that idea to reality, bringing it to life alone or with hundreds of people, the persevering that gets that content made is what makes art so compelling. AI art does not have this. It doesn't matter how long you spent working on specific prompts. You simply told someone to do something. You told a machine to do something and it did it. It is the same as playing a video game. It's not art. You didn't create anything. George has always been on the cutting edge of technology with animation, CGI, and practical effects. But this take is really weak, and I hope he eventually changes his tune, especially when the corporatization hits a level we can't go back from. This AI film festival, I will keep my eyes on if there is another one. I doubt it, because none of these films will stand the test of time. It's really upsetting to see people just like fully believing and falling victim to these AI videos, some of which are affecting people. And maybe that's what makes it art. Maybe this is affecting George's soul. Maybe it is touching it. But honestly, I don't see it. And it really was upsetting to see George kind of defending this practice. Meanwhile, you have Guillermo del Toro screaming, "Fuck AI." And the film I watched this week, Seth Rogen even says that at a board meeting. So now it's time for the box office, and let's get this stinky AI taste out of our mouth. There is no box office. So, like last week, there was no news. This week, we have no box office because Box Office Mojo is failing to do its job. I went to the source, which took me to Screen Australia, which then took me to Numero, which I don't have. So I don't have any box office listings. We'll have to do it next week. Seems like this is a running theme of the show. Maybe we're going to axe this section eventually. But I don't want to because I like talking about it. So, yeah, just fucking deal with it. Anyway, now I'm going to talk about 3 movies, starting with Good Fortune. Good Fortune is a timely comedy about the gig economy. It's about how hard it is to get by in the day-to-day, yet alone get ahead and save, the pressures of constantly working on humanity, and the thought of, if I had money, wouldn't that just fix everything? And that's what this movie is. In comes Keanu Reeves playing himself as the Angel Gabriel to show our leader Aj, played by writer-director Aziz Ansari, would his life really be better with money? And turns out, yeah, it's a lot better for him. So what happens is Keanu Reeves swaps the lives between Aziz's character, Aj, and Seth Rogen's character, John, I believe. Anyway, they swap lives and have to see what it's like living in the other person's shoes for a little bit. So let's get straight into my problem with the movie. Hate to start off negative, but the movie doesn't really solve this problem or have a profound statement on the gig economy. The twist of the movie, I guess, is kind of that he has to really want to go back to his old life, to actually go back. And when Keanu changes him into Seth Rogen's rich, benevolent character, he feels no need or want or truly believing that he wants to go back to that life. And eventually the film does come up with a solution that may involve some monetary help from a certain other character, but it really doesn't solve the problem of the gig economy and the fact that billionaires are making hundreds of millions of dollars on the backs of very hard-working people, especially in the US. It doesn't mean it's devoid of timely commentary. In fact, I think the section that is just between Seth Rogen and Keanu Reeves, where Keanu Reeves becomes human and becomes a burnout, chain-smoking angel, working 3 jobs, and Seth Rogen was a tech bro and now an Uber driver, and he's struggling to get by in a motel rather than a hotel, things like that. This is where the movie really shines its best, actually. The vibey comedy, I think, is best in this movie. It's satisfying and realistic. Watching these two struggle to get by after having everything, but still find something to cling on to. This is where the movie is most profound. But its relationship to its main character, Aj, is just not fully realized. I don't really think he gets what he wants in the end or feels realistically fulfilled. And so the solution to the movie just feels a little false to me. But the lighter moments and the lighter comedy is good. It would be a lot better if there was more jokes, more fun. This is a very high concept comedy that is played quite straight. In the 80s, this would have been the goofiest, most high energy bullshit you've ever seen, but it would have been much more memorable. This is a very modestly directed film, very held back. It's Aziz Ansari's directorial debut since his other film got cancelled due to complications with Bill Murray at the time. Look into that if you want. And he's a funny enough comedian, but this script is weak with very small jokes and nothing that really knocks you out of your seat. I was waiting for the movie to really try and answer the core question of the story, or at least hit me with some really whopper jokes. Does money really fix everything? Unfortunately, despite clearly wanting the audience to say no, they've just spent 90 minutes showing them how wrong they are. And all this comes from 3 millionaire actors/comedians. It's hard to resonate with that kind of story. Unfortunately, I don't think a middling comedy with a profound bite is enough to justify people going to theaters, even with the big 3 stars helming it. All 3 of them are fine. Keanu Reeves felt really relaxed. More so than he usually did. This was the only time I maybe see what people say when they don't like Keanu Reeves' acting. He's going for a style in this, but it can be seen as just low effort. I think it's a very funny performance. I think both other stars are great too. And it's a solid first effort for a first film. I hope Aziz figures out how to bridge the gap between comedy and commentary better in his next film. and arrives on more solid ideas with a better foundation for mining comedy out of. I'd give it about a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, 2 films I think you'd enjoy a little more. So Beast of War is my next pick. Now, I watched this on Halloween Hangover, so on November 1st. I just wanted another horror movie and I wanted something Aussie. So this movie came out earlier in the year. This is a completely Australian film. It's set during World War II. A bunch of soldiers training at boot camp, and then quickly they're on a boat heading towards, well, you know, wartime, depressing stuff, and the ship blows up. It gets hit, and a bunch of boys are stranded on some scrap, and guess what's in the water with them? A bloody shark. And bloody it is. This is a really gory, fun horror movie with some nice conflict at the core. The lead character is Indigenous and is fighting with some of the other characters who thinks he's not entitled to be there with him. There's a lot of stuff going on in it, but mostly it's just a whole lot of fun. It's some shark action, it's some blood in the water, it's some comedy, with real themes of mateship at its core. Not to mention, it's filmed quite beautifully. It looks very exciting, and it's hard to make these movies on the water so visually captivating and also legible. I'm sure plenty of CGI was used, but the movie overall looks really good. I think the action and horror aspects are the most fun. Yeah, the characters are sort of weakly developed. The dialogue is really irrelevant. I think stripping a lot of that out and focusing more on the tension might have been a little more interesting. However, the dialogue works fine. This movie is just rip-roaring fun from start to finish, and I really liked how it ended as well. So I'm going to give Beast of War 3 out of 5 stars. The next pick, I just looked up, it's a co-production between the US and Australia. So it would have a tariff on it if Trump got his way. And this is Dangerous Animals. If I didn't say already, Dangerous Animals. Another really good looking film filmed off the coast in Australia. This is a serial killer movie about a guy who does shark watching tours and feeds tourists to the sharks while recording them. And just like Beast of War, it's simple, it's effective. The villain is great. We've got a great classic Aussie snarling villain who hates tourists, hates Americans, typical stuff, but loves sharks and loves these intimate moments with the sharks. Some really good serial killer bait. Not to mention the lead actress, let me find her name because I really liked her. Jai Courtney. No. Jai Courtney is the killer. Hassie Harrison as Zephyr. Yeah, she was quite good in this film, I thought. Very much playing the Scream Queen. There's a few other great performances and some really great gore and suspenseful scenes. And I said his name just before. Jai Courtney as Tucker is fantastic as the serial killer. Again, yeah, this was a really good horror film. Both these movies were quite good and a great way to just relax and, you know, see some more Aussie life brought into the horror genre this year. We've had Bring Her Back, and I'm sure there's tons that I've been forgetting about, but it's been a weaker year for Aussie horror at the box office, so I'm glad to watch these two, catch up, and confirm that they are great. So instead of seeing Good Fortune, if you can catch these on video on demand, I would recommend it. I'd give Dangerous Animals about 3 stars as well, although I do think it's a little bit better than Beast of War. Just more exciting. My grandma actually watched it with me and she was engaged the entire time. Both very well-made horror movies that deliver on their premise plentiful. Unlike Good Fortune, which didn't really execute very well. Maybe I should give them both 5 stars, actually. Oh, God. That was some fun watching. Anyway, this has been a slightly shorter episode, but that's okay because nobody listens anyway. This is the Hemm Productions Podcast. Can't wait to see you next week with a really big show. We will have seen Begonia, Train Dreams, and Die My Love, and I'm sure there'll be some more to talk about, and hopefully the box office is even updated. But before we go, I'd just like to say that we've got more progress on Hemm Productions. We're getting our first cameras, so that's pretty good for a production company. I've had plenty of cameras in the past, but I wanted to step up a little bit. This one isn't our cinema camera, this is our vlogging camera, so I'm going to make probably a movie in the next couple weeks or something, just testing it out, a lot of different ideas. So keep an eye on the channel. There might be more than just the Hemm Productions podcast in next week or the week after. So things are exciting, things are bubbling up, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me today on the Hemm Productions Podcast.